Good morning. This is your wake-up call.
Let's begin now.
Hello folks, and welcome back to Now Awake Wisdom. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's free to subscribe. And today my talk is going to be on Ezekiel and why I think that in Ezekiel he's seen, well, a lot of people will say flying saucers, but I'm not going to go that far. I think there was a flying saucer mothership, but the living creatures that Ezekiel interacted with, I think, were helicopters. Let me start by reading a few passages and explaining myself why I think this. We'll start with Ezekiel 1:4. I looked and I saw a windstorm coming out of the north, an immense cloud with flashing lightning and surrounded by brilliant light. The center of the fire looked like glowing metal. Now, there's a few reasons right there. First off, he says it's a windstorm coming from out of the north. Helicopters coming closer to you would be blowing up dust on the ground and all kinds of stuff. All types of wind would be blowing around them. And lights, if it was close to dark time, maybe they had some spotlights on trying to look for Ezekiel, and that would cause the lights and the blowing up of everything around it, and the center of it looking like glowing metal, which a helicopter would be made mostly out of metal. Now, Ezekiel 1:19 says, when the living creatures moved, the wheels beside them moved. When the living creature rose from the ground, the wheels also rose. Wherever the spirit would go, they would go, and the wheels would rise along with them, because the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. When the creatures moved, they also moved. When the creatures stood still, they also stood still. And when the creatures rose from the ground, the wheels rose along with them, because the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. Spread out above the head of the living creature is what looked like an expanse of sparkling ice. Now, if the propeller was flying around so fast you couldn't see it, and it was night, and they had spotlights, and it would be hitting it, and it would look like ice, maybe something sparkling over top as the propeller's going so fast that you can't see it. And then it says, and awesome. Under the expanse their wings were stretched out toward one another, and each had 2 wings covering its body. When the creature moved, I heard the sound of their wings, like a roaring, rushing waters, like the voice of Almighty. Now, when the propeller of the helicopters get moving, they would sound like rushing water, like a big loud noise, like a helicopter would. Everybody says UFOs are quiet, you don't hear them, but if it was a helicopter with the wings, with the propellers going, it would sound like rushing waters in the voice of Almighty. When they stood still, they lowered their wings. Now, when a helicopter's propeller is spinning, the wings stand upwards, so it's spinning like this and lifting, and when they stop and slow down, the wings go down and hang down a little bit, as it's not forcing the air. They kind of droop a little bit. Then there came a voice from above the expanse over their heads as they stood with lowered wings. Now that's what I'm thinking. I think there was 4 helicopters that these guys came down to, and one mothership way over top. You could just see the light of the mothership as these 4 came down to see him. Now, if we go a little bit further, it says Brilliant light surrounded him, like the appearance of a rainbow in the clouds on a rainy day, so the radiance all around him. Now, I would think that would be a spotlight flashing down on him. And they didn't have electricity. They didn't know what spotlights were. And if everything lit up, he would think it's magic. He would be like, oh my God, what is all this light? When it is the helicopter shining a spotlight down onto him. Now, if we go to Ezekiel 2, it said, he said to me, Son of man, stand up on your feet. I will speak to you. As he spoke, the Spirit came into me and raised me to my feet. And I heard him speaking to me. Now, this makes me think it was a human or a person or an extraterrestrial or something that walked up to him, and he fell on his face worshiping him. And he said, stand up and talk to me. Just like a normal human, if you see a guy sitting on the ground, you're going to say, get up and talk to me. You know, I'm just another being. Don't be trembling on the ground. Talk to me. If it was God, I don't know. It would be completely different, I think. But if it was man to man, he would say, get up and talk to me. Now, if we go a little bit further to 3:12, it says, then the Spirit lifted me up, and I heard behind me a rumbling loud sound. May the glory of God be praised in his dwelling place. The sound of the wings of the living creature brushing against each other, and the sound of the wheels beside them, a loud rumbling sound. Now again, there's the noise. If it was God, he could transport them, in a snap of a finger, blink of an eye, no noise. But something here, he keeps referencing to all the noise that it's making, and that makes me think it's a helicopter, because why would it need to make so much noise? And helicopters with the propellers going make a lot of noise. And another thing I was thinking about is it talks about the wheel on top, and then it says there's a wheel next to the creatures. There's always a wheel next to the creatures, and if it goes up, the wheel goes up. If it goes down, the wheel goes down. This makes me think of the back stabilizer propeller that spins behind it. It's behind it, but I guess if you're looking at it from the side, it would look like it's beside it. So the stabilizer propeller is always going up and down with it, and it stays with it, and it's odd why he keeps referring to one wheel beside it that moves around with it, and that makes me think of the stabilizer propeller on the back. Now, also it makes me think that this is a group of extraterrestrials that are trying to talk to Ezekiel, so he can be the middleman and talk to all the people around him, because they're trying to help their civilization advance, I think. If it was God, he could go and talk to each person individually in their head, or he could make a big scene and talk to everybody at once. But by them coming to one person and trying to teach one person for that one person to spread it out to other people makes me think that it's a group of living beings trying to talk to him. When we go a little further, it says, Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. So hear the word I speak and give them warning from me. Again, makes me think it's a person or a group of people talking to him to try to make him set an example for other people. Now, if we move a little further into this, it says a little bit of weird things about how he should eat and how he should act, and I think this is cleaning up his body so that there's not much sickness, maybe getting his brain working a little better. Maybe they're trying to do some things so that the extraterrestrials can communicate telepathically, and they're trying to change his diet so that, he can open his third eye and chakras and all this stuff. And it says a little further, eat the food as you would a barley cake. Bake it in the sight of the people using human excrement for fuel. Now that struck me as a little bit odd. They're trying to teach him not to use human excrement as fuel because probably he spreads disease, and they're trying to teach him to teach all the rest of the people how to be healthier and how not to kill themselves all from disease. Moving on, it says, I will let you bake your bread over cow manure instead of human excrement. Again, it seems like they're trying to teach him to be healthier and do things that will help his civilization advance instead of dying out. They're teaching him better ways to do things. Now, moving along even further, if you go to Ezekiel 10:13, it says, I heard the wheels being called the whirling wheels. Now that's another thing. These things that come to him, they call them the whirling wheels. Helicopters have whirling wheels. That is one of the nail in the coffin statements that makes me believe it's a helicopter, by saying they call them whirling wheels. And this next one, let me read this. It says, when the cherubim moved, the wheel beside them moved. When the cherubim spread their wings to rise from the ground, the wheels did not leave their side. When the cherubim stood still, they also stood still. And when the cherubim rose, they rose with them, because the spirit of the living creature was in them. And that's also another thing that makes me think it's a helicopter, because when he always talks about the spirit of the living creature coming to talk to them, and the spirit of the living creature is in them, which means the person is inside the helicopter. He thinks the helicopter is a living creature, which it's a helicopter, and he thinks the spirit of the living creature comes out of it, which it's a man emerging from a helicopter. The spirit of the living creature is in the cherubim. So the cherubim is the helicopter, and the spirit is the man that comes out and talks to him. Now, moving along. I'm going to skip the main part, because the main part's just about curses and how to eat better, how to have a better diet, how to take care of yourself better, cleanliness, how to advance his civilization from the savages they are to be a little cleaner, healthier, and better for society altogether in general. Now, if we go to Ezekiel 40, 4, the man said to me, Son of man, look with your eyes and hear with your ears, and pay attention to everything I am going to show you, for that is why you have been brought here. Tell the house of Israel everything you see. Now, at this point, he has actually been brought there. Ezekiel lives in Babylon. They came, took him in the cherubim, flew him 750 miles away to Israel, Jerusalem. They flew him 750 miles away to Jerusalem. Now, he definitely didn't walk there, and it only took him a short time. It wasn't UFOs. It had whirling wings. This, again, 750 miles away. It had to be by helicopter. Now, they're taking him to this place to measure a city. He doesn't know where they took him. They took him, I believe, to the mothership. They took him inside the mothership, and they have their land laid out inside the mothership. They have gardens in there, they have houses and everything inside there. And they tell him, measure this stuff so that he can go back and tell them how to build lands, how to build it correct and productive, and how things should be. So, I see all these people and doctors that's saying Ezekiel wasn't abducted by a flying saucer. And I agree with them. Of course, he wasn't abducted by a flying saucer. But by all the stuff that was in this book, there is definite, solid proof that it was a helicopter. So I agree, he wasn't abducted by a flying saucer. I think it was a helicopter. That was probably their scout ships at the time. Let's say scout ships. That was their means of transportation around the earth to scout it out and talk to people. They had a mothership somewhere and helicopters that they used to get around everywhere. Like I said, he was taken to Jerusalem from Babylon, which was 750 miles away. And it had to have been by a ship. He wasn't just flashing there. And it even says back here that Spirit lifted me up, and I heard behind me a loud rumbling sound. May the glory of the Lord be praised in his dwelling place. The sound of the wings of the living creature brushing against each other, and the sound of the wheel beside them, a loud rumbling sound. When the Spirit lifted me up and took me away, and I went in bitterness and in the anger of my spirit, with strong hand of the Lord upon me, I came to the exiles who lived at Tel Abib near Kebar River, in there where they were living. I sat among them for 7 days, overwhelmed. So right there is an account, obviously, that they picked him up and put him in the helicopter and took him to this other place. And they obviously also took him to Babylon, or took him from Babylon to this scout ship. Now, a couple other things I also want to get into is the real God could talk to people personally. He could just get in their head. He would, make big signs, and it's just a complete other thing that I think God would do. This is obviously people, a person or a group of people coming to talk to him, to show him how to teach other people how to live better. Now, it also talks about 6 angels that came to kill people in the city of Jerusalem. When what actually happened, if you read the story, is that there were 6 people that came and marked people that were to be killed. So if they didn't have a mark, I guess they would stay alive. And then the army of Babylon came through and killed everybody that had a mark. And this makes it seem like the angels killed all these people, when it was just 6 men that marked a bunch of people. Babylon army came through and killed everybody with the mark. So that leads me to believe the angels didn't do the killing, the Babylon army did all the killing, and that leads me to believe that was part of this group of people, came down, marked all the people that they thought should be killed, and the Babylon army, since Ezekiel was from Babylon, he probably had Ezekiel tell them, or maybe they were mixed in with some of the Babylon people, and let them know the people that are marked should be killed. So obviously it's just a group of aliens marking people to be killed. Babylon's army comes in, kills everybody. Now, I don't know why they think they're angels. Maybe because they look different from us. Maybe they're a little extraterrestrial. Maybe they, had a watch or an iPhone and they thought it was magic. And they're like, oh, it's obviously angels. They have a time teller on their arm. And things to this effect. And again, when it gets into Ezekiel having to go in to this place and measure everything, that's where I think the mothership was, because he said there was a voice coming from above the cherubims and a light from above the cherubims, and I believe that was the mothership up there. When they put him in the helicopters or the scout ship and took him up, he says, onto a high mountain, but he really doesn't know where they went, and they let him out and had him measure everything. He gave him a measuring rod, had him measure the streets and the buildings and the gardens and everything, so he could go back and show these people how to build efficiently, correct, for a good civilization. Now, all these things put together makes me think it was an alien intervention. You let me know what you think. You give me some of your ideas. You leave me some comments. Make a response video or something. We can talk about it. Let me know what you think, and maybe I'll make another video. Since I just glossed over this stuff quickly, maybe I'll make another video to get in more in depth in certain parts that you would like to know more about. So leave me your comments, questions, everything. Give me the thumbs up on the view. Subscribe so you can see some more of these videos. Stop by the Facebook page, Twitter, all the social accounts. They're all connected if you look into the YouTube page. And just help us out. Give us some love. And remember, believe in self, believe in unity, and love conquers all. Peace.